Hey everybody, welcome back to another D&D Beyond Dev update. My name is Joe Starr. I am the arbiter prime of making videos about elves, dwarves, halflings, dragonborn, changelings, and water genasi here at D&D Beyond. What is D&D Beyond? If you're tuning in for the very first time, D&D Beyond is the official toolset of Wizards of the Coast's Dungeons and Dragons, the greatest role-playing game of all time. This toolset makes the game easier to play. It makes it accessible. It makes it super simple to jump in. If you've always wanted to play the game, but you've always been kind of like, it seems like a lot, come check us out. Register for free, dndbeyond.com. We make the game super just easy to play. Just click things and tell your story with your friends. Super fun. What is this show? The D&D Beyond Dev Update is our weekly, occasionally bi-weekly, to be fair and completely honest. This is our weekly check-in to let you know what's coming up, both in the tool set itself and in the marketplace. Keep everybody on the same page and make sure that we are openly communicating news, changes, and updates as best we can. As always, if you would like to see these things in the form of written language, you can check out our changelog on dndbeyond.com. If you're watching on Twitch right now, I think they're dropping it into the chat rapid fire. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is below. Here's how the show works. I'm going to spend a few minutes walking through our roadmap with you. And then I'm going to talk to some guests today. We have Pat and Julie rejoining us. We've been trying to do these monthly updates into the grand experiment that is our generic feature system. The team just had a 10-day sprint. They refused to show me what they're about to show us, so I'm going to see it for the first time with y'all. I'm actually pretty stoked. All of that said, let's jump into our roadmap, shall we? Cool. So, wanted to start today with an acquisitions update. Acquisition update, not Acquisitions Inc. update. Just an acquisition update on our joining the official Dungeons and Dragons family. Wanted to talk today a little bit about our terms of use changes. So we posted a notice, a legal notice, as required by the law, that our terms of use will be shifting from fandoms to Wizards of the Coast, and wanted to go over some frequently asked questions that we have, literal frequently asked questions, because they are the frequent ones that we have seen pop up since posting that. So wanted to take a moment just at the top to walk through that with you all, just to clear up any questions and problems and issues or anything like that. So, actually, made sure that this was written down so that I didn't screw it up or like do funny voices or something for them. I mean, I guess I could do funny voices for them. I won't. I take this very seriously. So, first of all, when are the D&D Beyond terms of service going to be updated? We are aiming at updating to our Wizards of the Coast terms of service on or around May 18th of 2022. So this May 18th. If not on the day, then very close in that window is our goal. Why? Why are they being updated? Why did my voice crack so badly just then? Why are they being updated? So, as part of Wizards of the Coast acquiring D&D Beyond, naturally, since we will no longer be a part of fandom, we'll have to go from one usage license to another, from fandom to Wizards of the Coast, to cover this new version of the service. What is changing in the terms of service? So we need your permission to put your user content on D&D Beyond and operate the D&D Beyond service, and we are working to ensure that the scope of the permission that you give us is tailored directly to that goal. Um, because of that, the Wizards of the Coast terms of service is going to be updated with a specific section to D&D Beyond to allow us to host your content and otherwise operate the D&D Beyond service. So really just making sure that the day-to-day does not change, right? Um, Big question being asked, will Wizards own my homebrew content created on D&D Beyond? It's a fair question. Wizards has no intent of taking ownership over user content that you put on D&D Beyond, and the terms of service will not grant Wizards of the Coast such rights. So just let me underline that. The terms of service will not grant Wizards of the Coast ownership of your homebrew. The permissions that we will be needing for user content will relate specifically to allowing us to operate the D&D Beyond service, including displaying that content on our site. So I feel very weird saying the D&D Beyond service over and over again. I'm just digging into the legal. Do those changes affect homebrew content that was created before May 18th? So, any content that remains on the D&D Beyond service will be subject to the updated Wizards terms of service. Those updated terms of service should not impact how you've used the site or owned your content prior to May 18th. If I delete my D&D Beyond account, will my homebrew content remain on D&D Beyond? If so, will my username still be credited? While your homebrew content will remain on D&D Beyond, the credited username would change to like user vague number, because you have removed your account from D&D Beyond. Will Wizards own any character or account information I upload? So, like character sheets, profile pictures, stuff like that. Wizards has, again, no intent of taking ownership over user control. Sorry, over user content. You put on D&D Beyond, and the terms of service, again, will not grant them such rights. The permissions that Wizards of the Coast will need for that content will relate, again, to allowing us to operate the D&D Beyond service, including displaying that content on our site. And if you notice that I am shifting to read directly to you, it's because I am. I want to make sure that I'm really making this clear and getting it across properly. Will I need a Wizards account to access or sign up for D&D Beyond after May 18th? No. You'll be able to continue to use your Google account and Apple ID to sign into D&D Beyond. New users will still need a Google or Apple ID to sign up for D&D Beyond after May 18th. And if the immediate follow-up question there is, why haven't you still expanded the number of ways we can log in? We're aware, and it is definitely a thought that is being thunk over here at D&D Beyond. I hope that clears some things up. I know that there were some questions and concerns floating around the community on those, so I hope that gives some clarity, a little bit of comfort, and all of that good stuff. I know that you know, dropping an iTunes update worth of terms of service at someone. Well, we didn't quite do that. It could be a little overwhelming and can be a little like, what is this? What's happening? So anyway, I hope that that sort of um, gives a little bit of clarity. And if there are more questions that arise, make sure we hear them. We have an article listing this out on the site. You can go check it out. I don't think I prepared our mods to start dropping it into chat, but just in case they are, way to know the future mods. And if you're watching on YouTube, it is in the link below. So if there are any additional questions that come out, we want to make sure that we're addressing those questions and concerns. So just leave a comment, and we'll try our best to check everything out and make sure that you guys know what's up. So that's our acquisition update for the week. I wanted to cover what that terms of use change meant. Also coming up, we've got our May subscriber perks rolling in. They are not, frustratingly enough, no matter how many times I bothered the team to do it, Justin Timberlake themed. But maybe next year it's going to be May. I don't know. I hope so. Sure hope so. So those perks are available now. Again, what are subscriber perks? And I apologize if you watch every week, you're so sick of me reiterating things like this all the time. I do apologize. I'm glad you're here, but I'm also glad the person who just started watching the stream for the first time is here, and I want to make sure they know what's up. So we have a subscription service here at D&D Beyond with a variety of benefits, including my favorite, which is content sharing. Which helps you sort of reenact the old days of being the one person in your group that bought all the books and would have to trudge to your friend's basement with them in a backpack to share them with your friends. Those subscriber service, those subscriptions include subscriber perks. Just a little thank you every month. Sometimes it's digital dice. Sometimes it's exclusive portrait frames and backgrounds, stuff like that. So those May perks are available right now. We've got a couple books available for pre-orders, including Monsters of the Multiverse. We've already released a couple of pre-order perks for that book. We've released our pre-order backdrops, which are super dope. They're very, very cool. And then also a part of your pre-orders, if you order Monsters of the Multiverse, we've got a collection of portrait frames coming out as well, which I also dig. Yeah, we're showing them right there. I like these a lot. You'll recognize actually a lot of our designs. My cat is digging her claws into my flesh. Not distracting at all. I love working from home so much. Uh, you'll recognize a little bit of that just as a brag for me. Noe, who did a lot of the art for Battle for Beyond, has been really killing a lot of our portrait frames lately. So thank you, Noe. You're phenomenal. Also for pre-order, Journeys to the Radiant Citadel and Spelljammer. Still very, very stoked about that. Still very, very stoked about every piece of Spelljammer art that I see come through. Also available now, free for all registered users at D&D Beyond. The Monstrous Compendium, Volume 1, Spelljammer Creatures. This is free to everybody. So this is 10 exclusive monsters you won't find anywhere else but inside this compendium. Um, some of them are brand new. Some of them are just brand new to 5e. So some classics in there. You might even find some Dark Sun beasties in there if you look carefully. Also coming up, starting next week, is Jasper's Game Week. This is an annual event that we love to take part of. This year, we are hosting the entire event, Monday through Friday, 4 games a week, in support of Jasper's Game Day's mission for suicide prevention and mental health awareness. We've already auctioned off seats to be able to play with some really incredible DMs and players. So now, next week, tune into games. You can donate to affect those games. So if you want your favorite player to have a reroll, if you want your favorite player to have a disadvantage, if you want to drop in some random monsters into a game and just really completely derail the DMs, this is your chance to do so. We will also be, I'm really excited about these. Uh, yeah, here we go. We're going to be launching a set of Jasper's Game Day digital dice next week. They'll be $4.99. All proceeds going to Jasper's Game Day. I'm really stoked about these. Andrew actually really outdid himself. Jasper's Game Day's slogan is "You're not a critical failure." So normally our animation uh, would trigger on a natural 20 on one of our digital dice. In this case, they're triggering on our natural ones with a phoenix rising from the ashes of those failures. So I'm really excited for these. They won't just be on sale for the week, they'll just be on sale permanently. You can buy yourself a set, you can gift them to a friend. Those proceeds are going to a really, really good cause that's really near and dear to our hearts. So super stoked to see you guys next week. I think it's going to be a really fun, ridiculous week. So let's talk a little bit about what is coming up next, and then we'll dig into the generic feature system. Spelljammer Academy coming soon. A fun, really cool, like sort of prequel setting that's going to be coming up for our Spelljammer adventures. We also have a D&D Beyond Forum AMA coming up with our own Dave Heartless. If you want to check that out and start dropping in questions, same deal. Links, or if you're on YouTube, links. Then want to check in before we bring on Pat and Julie on our roadmap. I'm calling this our roadmap rework. And this is another one of those, like, I think, sort of like frustratingly eye rolling things, because it's like, for us, it's exciting. And for you, it's a lot of like, well, now I got to maybe wait more. Um, uh, I've pulled some things off of the roadmap, and this is why. We're kind of reworking and reimagining process for a lot of this stuff. And by reimagining it, I mean this. Before the acquisition, we were a licensee, right? So we were reacting to things that Dungeons and Dragons did and produced and published. We did a hell of a good job reacting. I really think so. This team is incredible. But we were reactionary, right? A book would come out. We would discover that there's a new feature in the book. We'd chase that feature. That's a little bit of what we'll be talking to Pat and Julie about right now. A new race comes out. We figure out the best way to implement it, and we'd react to sort of the way we felt books were going, and reflect that in the tools we were making available, right? Um, Now we are Dungeons and Dragons, which is something I think a lot of us internally are still wrapping our heads around. We're not reacting anymore. We are Dungeons and Dragons. So that means taking a bit of a pause, taking a breath, and applying that new reality, that new logic to everything that we're doing, everything we're thinking about, everything that's on our roadmap. We're no longer reacting. We are in the conversation, we are in the room. Um, so I pulled some stuff off because there's whole new conversations circling around those things. And I want to be able to give them some time to breathe as we sort of realign and re-roll out the vision. And I understand, I totally respect that that can be sort of like frustrating to hear, right? Because you want news, obviously. Uh, so I, with that in mind and with that understood, some really cool times are coming. I just need you to take my word for it. But I wanted to give some context for why that roadmap adjustment is happening because everything is changing for us in the coolest of ways. Like now we're no longer just again a service that helps support D&D Beyond or helps support D&D. We are D&D. And it's really cool and it's really fundamentally changing a lot of the ways that we're thinking about our roadmap and the things that are coming out. That said, I want to see some stuff that I haven't gotten to see yet. Let's bring Pat and Julie on. We're going to talk a little bit about um, our generic feature system update. I am super stoked about this. Pat, welcome back to the show. Julie, welcome back to the show. It has been a minute.
Hey. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah,
It's
no,
good to see you.
absolutely. So good to see you all. I had checked in with Pat and I was like, hey, we're trying to do these maybe monthly if we can, work and schedule allowing and all that good stuff. So I checked in and was like, hey, how are you? How are we feeling? Like, is there enough of a generic feature system update to bring everybody back on? And it was the first time I've seen you type in all caps. So I'm pretty excited about this. So I'm just going to hand you the floor, Pat.
Well, first, I wouldn't be. I'm so excited about this, but I'd be more excited about Justin Timberlake Perks too. So
I agree.
put that out.
Come on.
But yeah, we have been working towards getting this generic feature system some wind underneath its wings, and of course, as Joe said earlier, with being reactionary, that was much more difficult. But we came to this place where it was a quiet space where we could get some launch time and some runway, and we did. And we accomplished our first software engineering sprint, which, as Joe said, is a 10-day work cycle where the engineers on the team, of which we have a team of 12, but straight up engineers, more like 6, and we started to work on the thing, right? And look at the user story, as they call it, and see if we can accomplish the task. So, for everybody's edification, our first customer in building this thing is the Lore Keepers team. I'll introduce you to the Lore Keepers team. That's Elliot, Jay, Adam, and Faith. You may have heard of them before or seen them on this show before, but they're the ones that do all of the data entry into the system, be it for a compendium or be it for rules. And they're the first ones to use the tool sets to make those entries. Those tool sets look a lot like our homebrew system for them. This is completely different. It's simpler, and not only can you make entries, but you can make up entries as you make entries to make new things to hit the database and be there. And then once they're there, then we as a team parse them out in such a fashion that they land on your character sheet. So the first thing we were doing is what we call our tracer bullet, which is taking one experiment and running it through the whole process so it comes out the other end as a finished thing. And that tracer bullet was blessings. So you all know what blessings are. You all know we don't support that on the character sheet right now, but that's what we did. So we do the blessings, we make the entry into the system through the new generic feature system, and that has to be like that whole CRUD model, if you will, which is the create, read, update, delete kind of model, ability to do the thing with the software or with the data. And then it goes out onto the character sheet, and then it displays onto the character sheet. That's win number one, which you're going to see some of that today. And then the next piece is it's efficacious on the character sheet, meaning not only does it display, but the rules or the numbers on your character sheet change once you've added the thing. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Julie have the con. So you have the controls, ma'am.
Cool. Yeah. So as Pat said, there is the two different sides of this generic features system thing that we're working on, and we're going to show you the character sheet side. And we are using our tracer bullet as a blessing. So I guess without further ado, we can go ahead and do a little demo here and kind of show what the results of our sprint were. So this is actually my character that I'm playing in our team game, Beanie. She's a Twilight cleric, Harengon. So pretty special to me. She's pretty fun to play. But I want to add a blessing because Pat is the current DM of this campaign that we're in, and he says that I get a blessing. So let's go and figure that out. So I'm in my features and traits. And again, this is very much big WIP across the screen, work in progress. So probably not where these things will end up when you all have access to generic features system. But for here, we're going to go to manage features, which you may notice it usually says manage feats, but in this case, manage features. Open this guy up, and hey, we have our add feats, and we also have add blessings. So let's open this guy up, and I really want this blessing of Trash Panda. Pat, can I have this blessing of Trash Panda?
Yes, I believe you've been blessed by the Trash Panda.
All right, cool. Let's see what it is. Advantage on
Which
intelligence,
the Trash Panda
investigation.
the Trash Panda is the baseball team here in Huntsville. So the Huntsville or Rocket City Trash Pandas is their team name. So
I was going to say, now I just want to know more about your game.
Well, it is a game of this team making up the adventuring party, so you can imagine that it is quite an interesting group. Yeah, so this blessing of Trash Panda, we're going to get advantage on investigation and advantage on perception checks when inspecting garbage. Cool. Add this guy. Add blessings. And here we are. So blessing of Trash Panda. So again, this is, may seem very simple in the presentation because it is our tracer bullet of just getting text to appear on the sheet using our new generic feature system. But this is actually like a pretty huge accomplishment because the previous ways that we've been able to get this data to display has been in a much less generic way. So it requires a lot more very specific formatting, very specific data entry for the lore keepers to get these things to appear. And this specific blessing is going through a completely different system than our typical rules engine, which is what drives the character sheet, and spitting out this generic feature, which I think at some point in the next few updates that we have, we'll be able to, give you a peek into how that entry is going to look. But yeah, there we have a blessing of Trash Panda. So, I mean, Beanie's going to be trying to look through a lot of trash. She's pretty high wisdom already, so she'll be able to get a little bit of advantage on that.
I think this is awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked to see what happens after the next. What are the goals for sort of the next sprint?
The goals for the next sprint.
We always want more. This wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's to start doing the calculation piece of it. That's where we're going to get into the thing that Julie's talking about, being able to show you hopefully next month. But I think one of the things that the demonstration doesn't really, land home for is in this world, one of the lore keepers would be able to go into this system and instead of typing in a blessing of Trash Panda, or going, I need to select a blessing, and then I'm going to make this new blessing called Blessing of the Trash Panda. They can literally go in the system and they will literally be able to write Boone. And Boone didn't exist there until they typed it in there. And once they typed Boone in, now it exists as a thing, a tag, a name, a piece of data that then they can iterate on and make a new thing that's going to drive a new tab and a new selection onto the character sheet once they send that to our production environment. And it's wonderful, because what they won't have to do is call us up and be like, hey, can you make something Boone? They'll just be able to make it on their own, and then test it on their own, and then validate it, and then ship it all by themselves, no engineers.
That's amazing. And a question we usually get, like, I'll do a roundup question. Because typically we'll get a lot of like, will this include X, Y, and Z? Um, when we're talking about this, these tracer bullets, the generic feature system, things like blessings, things like boons, what else are we kind of considering to be a part of that list, and what are we not?
I'll let Julie circle back and tell me I'm lying, but essentially what it will do is it will it'll essentially replace most, if not all, of the data on the character sheet, and then it will allow for things like organizations and piety, and honor, and contracts, and all of those little nitnoid things that everybody's always wanted, but we never could justify spending so much time making a one-off system for such a small portion of the game. We'll be able to not have to, because we don't have to spend so much time, we can now serve a, a whole bunch, like a peanut butter spread, across all the rules that we have been neglecting for so long, because the effort's really light now, once the system's made. And then we'll double back and set it up for old school feats and all the different things. I mean, hopefully this thing's going to be able to solve a lot of our armor class problems. I know some of you power fans really know that we have some armor class problems. Well, this likely eventually will fix those things.
Yep,
Julie, inside check.
Let me roll my 80/20 really quick. No, I think that pretty much is a good summary of it. There's kind of the two pieces is being able to break down what makes up a character into these more generic features. I mean, already we have class features described as a feature itself, but really everything on a character can kind of be broken down into it's a feature. Your initiative is a feature. Your AC could be a feature. And these things sometimes rely on dependencies of other things on your character, and sometimes not. So I think, being able to compose your character based off of these, just a collection of features, is sort of the goal that we're looking at here. And that way it takes it out of maybe a specific rule set, or it takes it out of maybe a specific gameplay style, and it can be a little bit more modular. So right now, the rules engine that we use is very much specific rules, very restrained, gameplay set, if you will. And we want to kind of blow that out and make it a little bit more composable. So right now, what we're able to show is the text composition, which is really just, here is the description of the thing, here is the name of the thing. But our most recent sprint that we're kind of still in the middle of, we are really diving heavily into that math piece, and making that piece into its own sort of calculator engine or math engine. Again, just in an effort to sort of, how do we create modular pieces? What makes up a character? What math is important? That way we're taking care of all that. And you can just create whatever cool idea you have and roll your dice. So it's been a really, really cool journey, and definitely a huge experiment taking this already massive concept and huge amount of data to make up this thing that is a character, and then untangle it and rewrite it in a better way. That's kind of what we're doing now. So it'll make us a lot more future proof, and it'll make homebrew a lot more composable once we get there.
I think you just added with some magic words that a lot of people wanted to see. So this is super cool. Thank you two so much for giving me a little bit of time. I know that you are slammed and that things are crazy right now, so I appreciate you jumping on and chatting with us a little bit. Um, I'll see y'all soon. I will be harassing you plenty. Trust me.
Also, I'm looking
Right, we'll
forward
get
to
you
it.
a trash panda blessing.
Yes, I am, and also, yeah, I am bringing that into my game. Trash Panda Blessing is 100% happening. And as always, thank you all for tuning in. If whether you're watching on live on Twitch right now, whether you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you all so much being a part of the journey. The journey is about to start getting really crazy. Well, as soon as like we figure out like where all our stuff goes in the new house, then I think things will start getting really, really crazy. Really excited for you all to be a part of the ride. Jasper's Game Week next week. Please tune in, participate, donate if you can. Uh, man, yeah, it's weird out there. Be kind to each other. Be nice. Find your game of D&D. And we'll see you next time on the Dev Update. Thanks, y'all.